You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hey there, welcome to episode 186 of the Soul Forge podcast.
Welcome to the Soul Forge, a place of silent mystery, quiet contemplation, and outright mayhem. Join your host, Sean Vanderloo, as he guides you through the adventures of living. Together, we'll talk about life and love, sex and dating, joy and heartache, memories and loss, and so much more. Don't worry, it's not nearly as pretentious as it sounds. Get ready for life, the universe, and everything on the Soul Forge.
Well, hello gang, welcome back to the Soul Forge. I'm your host Sean, as always. This week, bit of a departure. I had a whole plan, and I was going to complain and moan and whine and bitch about work. But you've heard that before, so I'm not going to do that. What I got here in my hand is something called the Epoch Times, which is a flyer that we had to deliver at work last week and the week before. And basically, they're calling it like a newsletter or a weekly newspaper kind of thing. But it's not. It's racist propaganda, and it's basically very anti-Chinese. And my original plan was to go into the history of the Epoch Times, read some articles online about how bad it is, some opinions from customers who have received this unsolicited propaganda in the mail. I was going to read some of the headlines and maybe one or two of the articles from this piece of paper here that I have. But I'm not going to do that because that's negative. And you know what? We've had enough negativity, and you can hear it in my voice. I'm just exhausted. I'm friggin' tired. I'm just throwing that paper away. Maybe you heard that fall on the floor. I don't know. So I'm not going to do that because I don't want to bring you folks down. Instead, we're going to do something radically different, and we're going to talk about how to be a man. And why are we doing that? Because it seems like a good idea. There's a lot of people out there, and I'm not just talking about men, women too. Okay, this is going to be referencing the attack on the Capitol there a couple weeks ago in the United States and how bad people are. And there's so much negativity and death and just destruction and mayhem. And so I thought I'd turn it around, and I came across a memory on Facebook from 3 years ago, and it's called Rules for Sons. But this could be rules for people in general. Just anybody who wants to live a decent life and be a good person. So I'm calling it How to Be a Man. I think that's going to be the title of this thing. I haven't made the cover art for the show yet. But you know what? Let's just go ahead and we'll get into it. There's 30 odd rules here, 32 to be exact. And basically the idea was to copy and paste this, put a picture of your kid, your son or your sons on this, and just release it out into the world. So I did that 3 years ago. The memory came up, and I was like, you know what? That might be a good episode right there. And I was fully prepared to do the Epoch Times and do the bitching and the whining, the complaining and the moaning. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to. I don't want to be negative anymore. So instead, we're going to be positive and happy. And we're going to talk about rules for sons, how to be a man, or just how to be a decent person. So I'm going to read through the rules, maybe talk a bit about them as I go. I've done episodes like this before for different things. So I don't know what I'm going to say yet. I haven't, I never do actually. I never pre-program myself for what I'm going to talk about. Sometimes I'll have some bullet points, some short form thoughts in advance, but not today. Today is just going to be an off-the-cuff kind of show, and I'm going to read the things, maybe talk about them, and then we'll go from there. But before we get into all that, as you've come to expect, because we are on the ESO Network, we're going to play a promo for another podcast here on the ESO Network. Here you go.
Howdy, this is Cowboy Jim, and I'm here to talk to you about the Cigar Nerd Podcast. Nothing I like more on the old dusty trail than sitting down and listening to two good old boys who smoke cigars and talk about nerd things like movies and TVs and comic books and all that stuff. So saddle up and ride on over to CigarNerdPodcast.com. They're also on the ESO network. Yeehaw!
And maybe go check those guys out and see what they're all about. All right, so we've got rules for sons, maybe rules for daughters, rules for people, how to be a decent person, or how to be a man. All right, so first rule is I was going to do some kind of Fight Club thing, but I'm not. Rules for sons, number 1, never shake a man's hand sitting down. And I think that might be some pretty good advice. When you're meeting somebody, you don't just sit there. You get up and you shake their hand. You look them in the eye, give them a good firm squeeze, and there you go. There you have it. Now, I know for a fact that I have actually shaken a man's hand while sitting down, and it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. So don't do that. I know I'll never do that again. Number 2, there are plenty of ways to enter a pool. The stairs ain't one. Okay, so I guess that basically means be bold.
There's an old saying, fortune favors the bold. Well, I guess we're about to find out.
Don't be shy, don't be nervous, just make a splash. Get in there and do the thing. I don't think I have anything more to say about that. Number 3, the man at the grill is the closest thing we have to a king. And I've got nothing to say about that other than the fact that it seems like a pretty cool image. The man at the grill is the closest thing we have to a king. So he's the man at the barbecue, he's doing the stuff, he's in charge, you listen to that guy. Number 4, in a negotiation, never make the first offer. Good advice? I think so. So you're negotiating, you don't make the first offer, you wait for them to make the offer, and then you do a counter offer, because then you have the upper hand.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
Suppose that makes sense. Number 5, act like you've been there before, especially in the end zone. So, basically, be confident. You're a winner, act like one. Okay, number 6, request the late checkout. What does that mean? It means stay in bed, snuggle your honey, smell the flowers. Don't be in a hurry all the time, I think is what that means. Number 7, when entrusted with a secret, keep it. There's nothing more I can say about that. That pretty much says it all right there. Number 8, hold your heroes to a higher standard. And I don't know what to say about that one either, actually. Just, we have heroes, you look up to people, you hold them to a higher standard because they're your role model. Of course, everybody has feet made out of clay, nobody's perfect, and we all topple over from time to time. But if you hold your heroes to a higher standard and try to reach that, then you'll always be striving to be the best person that you can be. Number 9. Return a borrowed car with a full tank of gas. That's just decency, and it shows the appreciation because somebody gave you something of theirs and you returned it better than what you found it in. So, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Number 10. Play with passion or not at all. Put your heart into it. Go full blast. Don't do anything half-assed. Seems like good advice to me. Play with passion or don't play. Yeah, I wish I had something more pithy or what's the word I'm looking for? Something more highfalutin, something more witty, I don't know. But basically, that's just about it. Number 11 goes with number 1, actually. When shaking hands, grip firmly and look him in the eye. That's right. Yes, do that. Because I don't know if that's a position of power, but it means that you see that person as an equal to you, even if they're in a higher tax bracket or they're a doctor and you're just a janitor. Not that you're just a janitor, but you know what I mean. You haven't gone to school for 8 years like a doctor, but shake their hand, look them in the eye, let them know that you're equal to them. And number 12, don't let a wishbone grow where a backbone should be. That's right. Don't be willy-nilly. Just like the title in last week's episode, never go full willy-nilly. Same thing. Have a backbone. Stand up for your convictions. Don't just waffle and fall apart. Number 13. If you need music on the beach, you're missing the point. What do I say about that? When you're on the beach, you're at the beach. You're having fun. You're living life. You're in the moment. You don't need a soundtrack to go along with it. You are the soundtrack. Oh, that was deep, wasn't it? I think that was pretty good. Number 14, talking about chivalry, I guess. Carry 2 handkerchiefs. The one in your back pocket is for you. The one in your breast pocket is for her. That seems nice. If we all wore suits and stuff, I guess that would make a lot of sense. But as it is, basically, you're always there to take care of the person you love. Number 15, speaking of the girl you love, you marry the girl, you marry the whole family. It's true. It's a package deal. You better love her, you better love them. So there's no choice unless it's all going to fall apart one day. And that's not what you want, because that's not why you get married. Number 16, be like a duck, remain calm on the surface, and paddle like crazy underneath. Now, how is that for an image? Basically, you just portray confidence on the outside, even if you're sweating and not sure of what you're doing, much like me on this podcast where I'm just kind of winging my responses. You sound like you know what you're talking about, but really, you're trying your hardest, you're sweating, just struggling to make yourself understood. So be like a duck, remain calm on the surface, and paddle like crazy underneath. And then number 17, experience the serenity of traveling alone. Have you ever done that? Have you ever just gone on a solo road trip, or maybe a hike through the wilderness for a week and a half, gone to Cuba and went by yourself instead of with a partner? I don't know. I've done a lot of solo traveling, road trips and stuff from here back to my hometown. 5-6 hours in the car by myself, listening to music, listening to podcasts, driving in absolute silence with my own thoughts sometimes, because occasionally the music drives me crazy or I don't want to listen to a podcast. So try that. If you can be serene while you're alone, you can pretty much tackle anything. Oh, number 18, never be afraid to ask out the best looking girl in the room. That's bold, that's confident, and most of the time they won't expect it. So they'll say yeah. So go ahead. What have you got to lose? All she can do is say no. Number 19, never turn down a breath mint. That's something that people don't think about. Lots of people have bad breath, but lots of other people don't want to tell them because it seems rude. So if somebody gives you a breath mint or a piece of gum, take it, because they're doing you a favor without actually telling you they are. All right, here's number 20. In a game of horse, sometimes a simple free throw will get them. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that. Number 21. A sport coat is worth 1,000 words. I guess so. I don't have 1,000 words to talk about that, but I assume it just means that with a certain sense of style, you don't have to say anything, maybe? I don't know. I'm sure there's more meaning to it than that, but that's all I got. Number 22 says, try writing your own eulogy and never stop revising. And I think basically what that means is take a look at your life, see what you've done, see what you've accomplished, and the never stop revising part means keep striving for, not perfection, I wouldn't say, but to be better than you are, better than you have been. Never stop, never stopping. That's a parody TV show or movie that came out, and I've had it stuck in my head for a while. Never stop, never stopping. It's supposed to be funny, it's not, but basically, take a look at your life always and make sure you're on the right path. Make sure you're living the life that you want to live. Keep striving until you get to where you want to be.
Never give up. Never surrender.
Because you know what? You're a role model for people that you don't even know you're role modeling for. And how do I know that? Because I've received feedback on these podcasts. Not stuff that I've necessarily spoken about, and it's not necessarily in email form, but people that I've talked to in passing. They're like, wow, you really share a lot, and it means a lot to us, and all that kind of stuff. That all goes with that. Never stop revising your own eulogy. And number 23 is thank a veteran and then make it up to him. Yeah, that seems pretty good advice. Thank you for your service, and then just be the best that you can be, because they fought for your freedom, so the least you can do is be a decent human being. And I'm sure it means more than that, but that's what I've got for you. Number 24. If you want to know what makes you unique, sit for a caricature. Oof. Have you ever done that? Have you ever gone to a carnival and been caricaturized? I have not. I've never come across that opportunity, but I've seen caricatures of people that I know. I've seen them on TV. Those artists will definitely highlight your most unique features. It might not always be flattering. Sometimes it is. Think of a caricature of Jay Leno with the huge lunchbox chin, so that makes him unique. He's got a shovel for a face. And I'm sure you have something unique as well. Maybe it's flattering, maybe it's not. But if you sit for a caricature, you'll know. And number 25, eat lunch with the new kid. Have you ever been the new kid in school? I have several times, and when somebody comes and befriends you, it is the most wonderful feeling, especially when you're brand new, you don't know anybody, you're being a duck, you're paddling like crazy underneath, but you look calm on the outside because you don't want them to sense your fear. So if you eat lunch with the new kid, befriend them, you'll not only be a hero, you'll also save somebody as well. Number 26, after writing an angry email, read it carefully and then delete it.
Computer, erase that entire personal log.
Yeah, that's true, because a lot of times you can be full of anger and vitriol and just nastiness. And I know when I'm angry, my brain short circuits, and not necessarily in email form, but in verbal form, my words just stop working. Nothing makes sense. I don't use the right words. I get all hot and sweaty, and it's just horrendous. So I guess the same could apply to an email. You get all your frustration out, and then you just delete it, because that seems like appropriate thing to do. Number 27, ask your dad to play. He won't let you win. It's true. It's true. I've played lots of games with my kid, with my boy. Yeah, I don't let him win. Sometimes I feel like I should, but I don't, because how is he going to learn anything if he keeps winning all the time, right? Now, have I ever played anything with my dad? I don't think I have. Yeah, he's just, I don't know. Not really. I don't, well, maybe I have. I know he wouldn't let me win, though, that's for sure. I don't have any specific examples, but anyway, there you go. Number 28, see it on the big screen. Yeah, man, see it on the big screen, because there's nothing quite like the theater experience. Not only do you get to see it in full panoramic vision, you have it, the whole atmosphere and experience with all the different people who are laughing or crying or mumbling or whatever they're doing, whatever their reactions are. It's never the same when you're sitting at home watching it by yourself, because first of all, the screen isn't as big, and second of all, the atmosphere is totally different. And yeah, we're in the middle of COVID and all the theaters are closed. Maybe a few are open here and there. It's just not the same. It's very stressful, and I can't wait for things to go back to the way they were. They'll never be completely back to the way they were, but I want to go see movies in the theater because that's one of my all-time favorite things to do. I absolutely love seeing movies on the big screen. All right, number 29. This one is difficult. It says, give credit, take the blame. Everybody wants to have the credit. Everybody wants to be the hero. Very few people can actually take responsibility for the bad stuff. So, yeah, that's very altruistic. Take the blame, give the credit, and see what happens. Try something different in your life. Number 30, write down your dreams. That is a good idea, because once you write things down, it becomes solidified. It becomes black and white. It's right there in bold-faced type, or however you do it. I wouldn't suggest doing it on a computer. I would say do it on a piece of paper. As you all know, about a year ago, my good buddy Renee said, Sean, write down what you're looking for in a woman. And I resisted, and I said no, and then finally I did it. And not too long after that, I met Julie, and she met all the things on the list of all the qualities of whatever I was looking for in a partner, and all I had to do was write it down. So if you write it down, the universe will manifest it for you, because why? Well, because you've actually put it out there into the universe, and when you ask the universe for things, it often obliges. Maybe not exactly how you expected, but try it. See what happens. Actually, do that. Write down your dreams, give it 30 days, see what happens, and then send an email to soulforgepodcast@gmail.com. Tell me if it worked or not. Tell me what your dreams were. Tell me what manifested for you from the universe, and we'll go from there. I think that would be a fantastic episode. Maybe 7 or 8 of you could do that, and I could read all the emails, and wow, wouldn't that be a fantastic episode? I think so. Number 31, always protect your siblings and teammates. That's right, because not everybody can protect themselves, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily your job, but everybody should protect everybody, and we all get along, and it's great, and it's awesome, and that's how you build a strong foundation. So do that. And number 32, the final one. Be confident and humble at the same time. Now, can you do that? You probably can. Yeah, just be confident, be bold, but don't brag about it. I always tell this joke about how I received a pin from the Humbleness Society of Canada for being so humble, but then I wore it and they took it away from me. And that's supposed to be funny. It's a joke that somebody told me once, and I've been remembering it for the last 25 years or so. I got to make it better so it's more fun, but basically, be confident, be humble, be a good person. So those are the 32 things, or rules for sons, 32 rules for sons, but I think it's pretty much good advice for anybody who wants to be a better person. And that's kind of partly why I started the Soul Forge in the first place, how to be a better person. I wanted to be a better person. I wanted to help people. I wanted to talk about things that people don't talk about. You know what? Sometimes we just need advice, and this is 32 rules or pieces of advice that are good for anybody. So I'm going to call this episode How to Be a Man, but that's just the title because I have a fun picture to go along with that, and there we go. So those are the 32 rules for how to be a man, how to be a good person. Follow it, don't follow it, do whatever you want. I'm just here to give you advice. I'm like it says in the opening monologue, it says, join Sean as he guides you through the adventures of living.
Join your host, Sean Vanderloo, as he guides you through the adventures of living.
I'm hoping that I'm doing that for you folks out there in podcast land. I don't know because I don't get a lot of feedback, but it's always appreciated when it does arrive. soulforgepodcast@gmail.com, or leave a comment on the link in the Facebook page that you should be following. I know our good friend Richard from Australia often leaves comments, and they're usually very well thought out, or sometimes they're just very funny. But it's always appreciated. If you all could do that, or even half of you, that would be amazing. But other than that, that's what I've got for you this week. Hopefully it was more exciting than me whining and complaining and bitching about the Epoch Times and how we were forced to deliver it even though we protested at work and said we didn't want to because we didn't agree with it. So there you have it. We had no choice. We had to deliver the thing. And if you've gotten it, and if you want me to do an episode about that, I certainly can. I'm not going to throw out the paper just so that I have it for future reference. So send me an email if you want me to have a bitching, whining, moaning episode for the next week or two. But other than that, we're going to end the program here. I'm going to thank you for sticking with the podcast. Thanks for all your feedback and 5-star reviews in the iTunes store or the podcatcher of your choice. Thanks for sharing the links and telling your friends about Soul Forge Podcast. And until next time, I just want you guys to take care. And remember, you cannot become what you want by remaining who you are. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Soul Forge Podcast. Your support is greatly appreciated, and we hope you'll tune in again next time. Remember that you can visit soulforgepodcast.com for all of our social media links. And don't forget to share the show with everyone you know. The Soul Forge Podcast is your best source for living your best life.
Think about it.
At 0800 hours, station time, the Romulan Empire formally declared war against the Dominion. They have already struck 15 bases along the Cardassian border. So, this is a huge victory for the good guys. This may even be the turning point of the entire war. There is even a welcome to the fight party tonight in the wardroom. So, I lied. I cheated. I bribed men to cover the crimes of other men. I am an accessory to murder. But the most damning thing of all, I think I can live with it. And if I had to do it all over again, I would. Garrick was right about one thing. A guilty conscience is a small price to pay for the safety of the Alpha Quadrant. So I will learn to live with it. Because I can live with it. I can live with it. Computer, erase that entire personal log.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping for the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.